Hello everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Amaka. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful bubu dress with this stylish V-neck line. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. So this is the fabric I'll be using for this project. Now this is my fabric, and this is the ASO OKE I'm going to use for the neckline. And for the sleeve, what I have here is just one strap. I have just one strap here. See, my fabric is folded into two. It's folded into two, so I'm going to fold it again into four. So I folded it again into four. So I folded my fabric into four. Now this is the folded part. This is the folded part. So I'm going to be taking my measurement from here. Now this is my starting point, which is also going to serve as my shoulder line. Now I'm cutting the front panel and the back panel together. So the back neck width is 3 inches. I'm using 3 inches for my back neck width, and I'm using 1.5 inches as the back neck depth. The back neck depth is 1.5 inches. Now the front neck depth is, I'm going to use 8 inches. It's going to be a V neckline, so I'm going to use 8 inches, and the back and the front neck width is 3 inches, the same as the back neck width. So the front neck width is 3 inches. So I'll connect the points. Now for the shoulder, half of the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. This is my 8 inches. Now from the shoulder measurement, I'm going to take the sleeve length. Now the sleeve length I'm working with is 12 inches. 12 inches plus half inch seam allowance. Half inch which I'm going to use to join the ASO OKE, that is the band to the dress. So now from this point, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slant. 1.5 inches, and I'll connect it to the neckline. Sorry guys. Now I'm going to take the vertical measurement. I would have done this before. This is the first thing I would have done, but it's not late. So I'm taking the vertical measurement. Her shoulder to waist point. Waist point is 16 inches, while her hip point is 24 inches. While the full length of the dress is 60 inches plus 1.5 inches hemming allowance. So I'm going to extend the points. 16 inches, 24 inches, 40 inches plus 1.5 inches hemming allowance. So I'll connect the points. For the sleeve length, I'm going to come down by, now from the shoulder slant, I'm going to come down by 11 inches for the sleeve length. Now my sleeve length, the sleeve length I'm working with is 11 inches. 11 inches. So I'm going to check what I have here. I'll check what I have here, 20.5 inches, and I'll bring it down here. So I'm going to mark 20.5 inches here, and I'll connect this point to this point. I connected it to the shoulder slant. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. I'll come in by 1 inch, and I'll connect this point to this point. Now I'm going to be working with the biggest part of the client's body. Now the largest part of her body is her hip. So her hip is 46 inches. 46 divided by 4 gives you 11.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 11.5 inches here. 11.5 inches plus 3 inches for ease, plus 1.5 plus 1 inch plus 1 inch seam allowance. And Now the same measurement I have here, so I'm going to mark that the same. I'm going to take the same measurement here, 15.5 inches, and I'm taking the same measurement on the hem, and I'll connect the points. So I'm just going to do something like this. I'm just going to connect this point to this point, you know, just like this with my free hand, and I'll cut it. So I'll start by cutting the back. After cutting the back, I'm going to remove the back panel and I'll cut the front. What I have here is 2.5 yards of fabric. What I'm using for this dress is 2.5 yards of fabric. So I'm going to remove the back and I'll cut the front. So now to cut the pocket, I'm going to use this fabric for the pocket. So I have 4 pieces of fabrics here. I don't have any special way of cutting my pocket. I'm just going to place my hand this way. I'll place my hand this way and I'll just, you know, just draft it. No much thing. I'll just draft. So I'm using 7 inches. I used 7 inches for my pocket. So now what I'm going to do, what I usually do is I notch one part which is going to face one part. Now if I'm placing this, is either this part is facing up or it's facing down. So that's what I do, so that I don't mix it up. So now let me show you how to attach your pocket to your dress. So this is how to attach your pocket to your dress. So this is the front panel. Now take note, I've already notched where I'll fix the pocket. Now this is my waist point. This is my waist point. I came down by 1 inch for the pocket. You can come down by 2 inches or 1.5 inches. So I came down by 1 inch for the pocket. So the same way I notched this, I notched it when the front panel and the back panel were still together. So this is how I'm going to fix the pocket. And I'm going to place it this way, right side. Now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to place it this way. So I'll place it right side facing right side and I'll sew. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance, let me illustrate with pins. So I'll sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So after sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'll push the seam allowance on the pocket and top stitch. I'll top stitch. So the same way I'm going to sew here, I'm going to sew here the same way. That is this side. I'm going to sew this side the same way, and I'm going to do the same thing on the back panel. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. Now I've finished sewing the facing. I've fixed the facing. So this is my facing. I have a tutorial on how to cut and sew a neckline facing. I'm going to leave the link of that video in the description below so that you can check it out later. So this is the front panel, and this is I've sewn the facing. So for the back panel, I also have the back panel here. I've fixed the facing, and I've also fixed the pocket. Now this is the pocket. Now let me show you how to fix the ASO OKE to the front panel. So this is how I'm going to fix the ASO OKE. I've already sewn the facing. Let me pin this down. So now this is what I'm going to do. So I'm also going to pin down the ASO OKE. Now when you bring your ASO OKE, you join it together and make sure that it aligns well. So you pin it down. So the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to place now this part. You see this V neckline? I'm going to place it on the ASO OKE straight. I'm going to place it on the ASO OKE. Now when you're placing it on the ASO OKE, make sure that this part it comes out so that you have something to sew on. So I'm still going to pin this part. So this V part, make sure that you place it on this straight part, of the ASO OKE, like on this straight line, on the edge of the ASO OKE. So now after pinning it down, arranging it very well and pinning it down, you're going to have something like this. So you're going to cut this part off. So now before you cut it, you see this part, before you cut it, I'm going to add my seam allowance to it. So also pin this part down. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch seam allowance, which I'm going to use to join these parts together, just like this. So I'm going to mark 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut this part. So after cutting, I'll remove it. I'll remove the pins. Now I would have cut off this part as well before bringing it out, before removing the pins. But it's not an issue. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew with the 1/2 inch seam allowance that I left here. So when I sew with the 1/2 inch seam allowance I left here, I'm going to iron it and still bring it back and place it here. So whatever excess I have on the shoulder, I'm going to cut it off. But when you're making yours, after cutting here, also cut off this excess. Cut off the excess. Whatever excess you have here, cut it off. But since I've removed it, if I want to start placing it again, I might make mistake. So the only solution right now is to go and sew here with the 1/2 inch that I'm supposed to sew with. Sew with 1/2 inch. Then when I place it on the fabric, whatever is left here, whatever excess I have here, I'm going to cut it off. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. I'm going to sew it with 1/2 inch and I'll iron it. Then I'll show you the next thing to do. So after ironing, now this is my ASO OKE. You see how it is? You see how neat it is? See, now this is the wrong side. I've ironed it down. I've ironed it. So this excess I have here, I'm just going to trim it out. I'm going to trim it off. So you see how my ashoke is looking. You see the V. You see how beautiful it is. So I'm going to place it on the front panel. I'll place it on the front panel just like this. Now this point, I'm going to place it here. I'll pin it down. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew this way and sew this way. Now this excess I have here, this is the excess I was telling you about. This excess I have here, I'm going to cut it off. I'll cut it off. So let me pin it down. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew here. I'll sew here and sew here. Then I'll sew here and sew here. So after sewing, let me just show you everything I'll do. So for this excess I have here, I'm going to cut it off. So let me cut off this excess. So now after sewing this, I'm going to place the back panel on the front panel, right side facing right side. I'll place it right side facing right side and I'll sew. So I'm going to sew with half inch seam allowance. I'll sew here with half inch seam allowance and I'm going to sew it this way. I'll sew into the pocket and I'll sew it down. So the same way I'm going to sew here, then I'm also going to sew this side. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. So after sewing, this is what I have. So this is it. This is the front panel. This is the front. Now take note. This dress is supposed to have slits. So what I did, I sewed from here and I stopped here. I stopped here by 7 inches. So for here now, I'm going to just fold it in and fold it again. You know, just fold it neatly and sew. So I'm going to do the same thing here too. So it's supposed to have slits. I'm going to fold it, you know, just little and fold it again neatly and I'll sew. So after that, I'm going to hem the lower side. And for the sleeve, if you're buying a shoke, buy 2 straps. Buy 2 straps. What I bought is 1 strap and it's not enough. So right now I'm just trying to manage it. So what I did, instead of folding my ashoke into 2 to make the sleeve, I had to cut it into 2. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this on this, right side facing right side, and I'll sew. I'm going to sew this way and sew to this point. So the same, after sewing, I'll now turn it to the right side. So the same way I'm going to do this sleeve, same way I'm going to do this, I'm also going to do this sleeve. So that's just all. That's all I'm going to do with this dress and I'll be done. So I'm going to hem the lower side. I'm going to finish the slits and I'll wear it on my mannequin and show you what it looks like. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.